Bitcoin has always been, first and foremost, the focus in terms of kicking things off, really since Bitcoin launched all the way back in 2009. Before the start of each altcoin bull run, money moves from Bitcoin into altcoins. Money starts to rotate, and it usually indicates the beginning of alt season, first into Ethereum, then into the big caps, then into the mid caps and the small caps, and so on. That's the cascading pattern that we're used to. And even though things are a little bit different right now, that is generally speaking the pattern that we can anticipate. The question then becomes, which altcoins is this money going to rotate into specifically? And it helps to know what is driving this rotation. I'm going to look at 3 altcoins today specifically that I feel will benefit most from this rotation. Also, I'm going to do my best to explain what's fueling this shift. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest. Maybe that's into BTC. Maybe that's into some of the altcoins that we're talking about today. As you know, we anticipate soon enough, imminently, the beginning of a real alt season. Whatever the case may be, I wish you genuinely very well. Just remember, though, I have to say it, I'm not a financial or investment advisor, and that just means by extension that this video is not official financial or investment advice. My first altcoin for today is Solana, and its token SOL, SOL, the comeback kid of crypto. Arguably, it's still also a potential Ethereum killer, and currently Solana is bustling with activity in all the right kind of ways that we like to see. For example, and this is a big one, last week the Securities and Exchange Commission approved a Solana ETF. And I would say in all fairness, not a Solana spot ETF like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Instead, it's a Solana staking exchange traded fund, and there is a difference there. And if you've been following, by the way, you know that it's been doing really well, actually. Institutions and big investors can now earn a 7 to 8% yield. That represents massive yield for that investor class. It also seems that the SEC has asked SOL spot ETF applicants to amend and refile their application, which, as far as we're understanding right now, should be done by the end of this month. And all of this is great news, of course, but how about this? You can now also trade on-chain stocks on Solana. That means a couple of things, including 24/7 availability and, of course, the absence of any kind of an intermediary or middleman. They are also exploding right now. In just 2 days' time, for example, there was a 7.5x in terms of wallet growth from 4,400 to 33,000. So the value in just 1 week is now at $51.7 million and growing, by the way. And then during the last 7 days, there was also a $57.9 million inflow from other chains to Solana, which includes, by the way, $38 million from Ethereum. D-Bridge shows another $25 million being bridged, including $15.5 million from Ethereum. And what does it all mean for the price of SOL, you ask? Well, SOL currently sits right now, as I record, at $153.70. But according to Coinpedia, SOL can go to a potential low of $250 and an average of $325 per token. But more generally, they predict that SOL is going to hit $400 during this year, 2025. The downside here is that SOL has an unlimited token supply. We always have to point that out, but it's not the end of the world. As you have seen these last few days and these last few weeks, we've been talking about slowly unveiling a new project that we're very proud of here at Altcoin Buzz. Check out the link in the description below. We're inviting all of our viewers to try it, to check it out. Once again, you can find the link and participate in the description below. At number 2 here, my personal favorite is Chainlink. LINK is the token. About a week ago, I talked about Chainlink in a separate video. We did a bit of a deep dive into this project, and from my personal perspective, I've argued why it's so crucial as an infrastructure play. Because really, if you break it down, Chainlink is around or involved in almost every crypto ecosystem. And it's also had some great news to share over the last month or so. This one's a banger. Let's begin with this. It's the fact that they've partnered now with MasterCard, which effectively allows billions of cardholders to buy crypto on chain. Chainlink, of course, also plays an important part in this because besides infrastructure, as a project, it also verifies and synchronizes key transaction details. Mainstream adoption of Web3 came one step closer with this partnership. That's kind of the thesis that I'm putting out there as far as my takeaway from this news. And, you know, I think that's actually pretty defensible. It's a big deal. And for whatever reason, as is often the case with Chainlink as a project, it's not getting that much attention or as much really praise as I feel it should. But this is massive. Another recent and really big deal as well was the partnership with JP Morgan's Connexus and Ondo Finance. This allows institutional clients to buy Ondo's tokenized treasuries, and they can do this through Connexus digital payments. RWA, of course, real-world assets, is also a big deal in crypto, and currently there's already a surplus of $23 billion in RWAs on chain. Chainlink provides the infrastructure, surprise, surprise, for this with its runtime environment. Now, Connexus is JP Morgan's permissioned blockchain. Ondo Finance has its own layer 1 public blockchain, and especially institutions will benefit from this because it allows them to go from a tokenized bank deposit to a tokenized treasury. And so really, in my humble opinion, but again, I think it's defensible, these really are two of the bigger news items that have come from Chainlink recently. What does it all mean for the price of Link? Well, it's been pretty flat, as you can see, over the course of the last 1 month. We're sitting right now at just below $14, $13.99, which is kind of to my surprise. And in fact, if you zoom out, things have also been pretty flat over the course of the last year, the last 12 months. However, and we'll go back to Coinpedia for their price prediction in this case once more, the current price should be its lowest point. That's what they're saying. The average price should be in the $25 range, with a high of $32. I actually think this is still pretty conservative if you go back and you realize that Chainlink's all-time high was $52 or so dollars. So I agree with Coinpedia here, but I'm probably a little bit more optimistic than they are. You know, this is largely based on technical analysis, but ultimately I think this is a project that when it takes off, it's really going to take off. Last but not least here, and the final altcoin from which money is rotating out of Bitcoin into is Hyperliquid and the HYPE token, HYPE. This as a project really represents the undisputed king of perps. And you may want to check out my recent deep dive into Hyperliquid. It started with a bang for this project when its airdrop landed, and this turned out to be a pretty perfect example actually of how an airdrop should look and how it should unfold and really be done. Some people out there even got a 5-figure, in some cases higher drop into their wallets. So this is just a whole new standard altogether. What also caught my attention is that Hyperliquid is 100% self-funded. That just means there are no VCs, no venture capitalists, which is respectable. And to be fair, this is also probably something that helped out quite a bit with the token price stabilization. HYPE, HYPE, launched at around the $6 or so range. Within 3 weeks, it found itself at $32, and really ever since, the token has not dropped below $10, despite a pretty crappy market. So that is certainly impressive. Furthermore, what I also like personally is its buyback program. The current buyback for HYPE exceeds $400 million, and Hyperliquid returns 97% of trading fees to token holders. Hyperliquid as a project also keeps adding new features. They also keep announcing new partnerships. So for example, there's now a Hyper EVM scan. This is a block explorer for Hyper EVM. This comes from the Etherscan team. RWA has also found its way into Hyperliquid. For instance, you can now trade X Auto. That is your digital gold right here on Hyperliquid. In terms of TVL, total value locked, Hyperliquid is also doing quite well. It keeps swapping between 8th and the 9th place spot on DeFi Llama, interchangeably with SUI, SUI. Currently, as I record, it's in spot number 9 with a $1.83 billion level in TVL. Very impressive. The current price of HYPE right now is at $39.03, which is about 15% or so away from its all-time high, $45.57. That was only 3 weeks ago, however, so that's very, very recent in terms of this project. Coinpedia here sees this price as an average price for the year. However, they do predict a high of around $80, and I think it's entirely possible, pretty likely as well, that we'll see a doubling in the relatively near future.